friends, and welcome to another edition. I'm Carrie Fitzsimmons.
And I'm Lacey Wilson.
And we're so glad you joined us. Pam Thomasson is here with us, and she's going to be talking to us in just a little bit about how to deal with difficult people during the holidays. I know that's an important topic to a lot of people.
You know, I'm really looking forward to this. There are multiple family gatherings that we usually have to go to each year, so she's going to share with us some tips and tricks on how to deal with sometimes difficult situations.
Right. We're trying to eliminate all the stress that we can from our holiday
It can be
season.
a stressful time of
year.
year.
It really can be. And we were talking today via email, and
You sent me a few
I
links
did.
to some stories.
Some other things that can make your Christmas a little bit stressful are MSNBC's top songs that we never hope to hear again.
Annoying Christmas songs, yes. And I agreed with most of them, I think, on the list. Do you want to read a few of them
Sure.
off?
What if I read one and then you
Okay,
read one?
that'll work.
The number 11 is Happy Xmas War is Over by John Lennon and Yoko Ono.
Well, you know, the review said it wasn't even the song so much as it was Yoko singing.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. I don't know that I've heard that one, so I can't really
You
comment
probably,
on that
if you
one.
heard it on the radio, you would recognize it.
Okay. And then the next one is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer by Neil Diamond. I don't know what's so bad about that one, though.
I don't either. I guess he just
Oh, I think
doesn't
it
like
says, okay, he begins the song by calling out to the boys and girls in a Jamaican accent.
So maybe if he didn't do that.
Yeah.
Number 9 is Santa Baby by Madonna.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
You can't really compete with the classics. If it's
No.
been done and done well,
I
just
agree.
leave it alone.
Don't redo the song. It says right here, her nasally voice is just kind of...
Just Eartha Kitt
Yeah.
would just not be happy about that. And then Last Christmas by Wham. And that one's actually one that has appeared on my Facebook news feed because my friends have said what a horrible song
I think
it
we
is.
have one of the same mutual
Yes,
friends.
Kent, yes, he hates it. He hates
said
it. So
every time that song is played, what, a terrorist does something bad.
the terrorist wins or something. Yes, it's just not a good song.
Number 7 is Do They Know It's Christmas by Band Aid, and this was made in the 1980s.
And I've actually heard it multiple times, but the lyrics, I never paid attention to the lyrics until I read this article, and it's not. What does it say? Let's see. There won't be snow in Africa this Christmas time. I'm sure people have probably heard the song. But
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Is
just
there
not.
ever a lot of snow?
You know, I don't know what the point of it was. I think they were trying to bring attention to the Ethiopian famine that was going on in the mid 1980s, but just it didn't last. It wasn't.
It gets stuck in my head too. The
Does it
song.
really?
Yeah. It
Well,
does.
it had Sting and Bono and Duran Duran in it, and I didn't know that, but
Yeah.
learn something new every day. And Santa Claus. Or no, wait, we skipped one. Silver and Gold by Burl Ives, but I love Burl Ives.
I do too. It reminds me of those Christmas movies growing up.
Frosty, or was it Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? And Burl Ives
yeah.
plays the
Yes.
voice of the snowman or the
Yes.
the abominable snowman.
Yes,
Anyway,
that's what it
but
reminds me of, so I don't mind that song.
I don't mind that one either. And then the next one,
Is that you, Santa Claus?
I haven't even heard this one.
I think I have.
If you go to MSN though, you could probably find the list of top 11 Christmas songs you never hope to hear again, and
this
it will give you a
next
video.
one, This next one you like.
I am upset at this one. It's Christmas Don't Be Late by Alvin and the Chipmunks. It is not Christmas until you hear the song.
Yes.
It's the Hula Hoo song. How can you not like that one?
Yes.
I was a little
All he
upset
wants
to
is
see
a
that
hula
one.
hoo.
All he wants. It's just all he wants.
Number 3 is Baby, It's Cold Outside, and the little commentary down here says the thing that bothers the author of this article the most is that this woman's trying to leave and her date won't let her.
It was written in another day and in time.
Yes.
But if you listen to the lyrics now, it's almost like this woman is being held against her will and she can't get out. So, and I think they named Zoe Deschanel and Leon.
And I like her.
I do too. I haven't heard this particular version of it though. And then Wonderful Christmas Time by Paul McCartney.
Is this that one, the Simply Having a Wonderful, is that the same one?
Oh, I think it might be.
Because that is annoying.
Oh, wow. And okay, to add insult to injury, Sir Paul McCartney makes almost $500,000 off of this song each year because it gets so much playtime.
That song is very annoying. I agree with that.
It is.
And the number one song is "Oh Holy Night" by Christina Aguilera. And I don't think that they're talking about the hymn in itself, because the song is very beautiful, but it offends this author when celebrities mangle it, as he states.
And do you know who else mangles those songs?
Right.
Yes! Mariah Carey and Christina Aguilera. Just sing the song. Just sing it.
Mariah Carey's "All I Want for Christmas Is You" should be on here, especially this year since
She
Justin
carries
Bieber.
that out for a little while.
It gets on my nerves, that's all. Okay, so that's a way to cut the stress. Just don't listen to those Christmas songs. But this next story was really, really sweet.
It was. I saw on Facebook several people were reposting this. And it was about layaway angels who were going to stores, particularly Kmart, I believe, was one of the ones mentioned. And they were paying off the debt that someone owed on their layaway merchandise.
And I think that the story goes, it was a lot of layaway orders with a lot of toys for like families with children.
And maybe people couldn't afford it. Mm-hmm. And so the parents would go and they would get up to the counter, and the manager at the stores would say, "Your layaway has been paid off." And they didn't know how or why. And I think there was one woman in particular, and she didn't want to be named, but she said that her husband had passed away, and that was just her way of honoring his memory, because she didn't have anyone to spend money on this year. So
that's really sweet. I think it's very nice for people to do something like that and not need recognition.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. You know, and another thing that touched me, I was looking on Facebook, and I have a friend that I went to college with, and she was trying to mail off some cookies to her brother who was in the Army in Kuwait, and she did not realize she was past the deadline for this particular mail services deadlines, and it was going to cost about $300, I think, to mail these cookies. And so she left in tears, and someone caught her.
$300.
That's very expensive, and I think the postal service actually has a better flat rate. I'm not sure if she knew that or not, but there was a stranger who approached her in the parking lot who had overheard the dialogue between her and the clerk, and they actually offered to pay the $300 to send the cookies. So I thought that was very sweet.
There are still good people out
there are, and when you hear stories like that, it makes you appreciate the holiday season and remind you of why we're celebrating this time of year.
Absolutely, yes. Okay, this next story reminded me of our little towns like Chickamauga.
It did. Small towns take the stress out of holiday shopping.
And I think the whole basis of this article was just to say that your smaller merchants, small businesses, are more likely to give you really good customer service. A lot of stores in this town of Newberry that the article featured, they're doing gift wrapping,
complimentary gift wrapping,
going out of their way to make people feel special, I guess, this holiday season. So.
Well, you know, when you sent that to me, I thought, anytime you buy something online, even as convenient as it is, you don't get that personal interaction, and you never actually see somebody from that store. So I thought that was very interesting that these small towns are taking more initiative to try to make the customers feel more appreciated this time of year.
Yeah, and a lot of times too, when you buy stuff online, you don't support your local businesses.
That is true.
So
that is very true.
It's good to keep the money in the area if you can. Okay, we'll finish up our little news feed.
And the next one, Carrie said, "I don't know how much this really relates to our topic," and I said it totally relates to our topic, because tonight we're going to be talking about families, and we all hope that you have a very peaceful holiday season.
Let us stress that.
Yes, very much so. But sometimes those can escalate, and it's probably just proven statistics that domestic incidents are probably on the rise this time of year. There's more tension. There's more family members that are getting together.
The economy's bad.
Right. It's a tough time all around. So this is Chicks with Guns. Some 15 million U.S. women are packing heat these days.
Men, if you're watching, all I can say is you
don't mess
run.
But it was very interesting. It talks about all of the different women who choose to carry guns, and they have different backgrounds, different job titles. It was just, I don't know. Would you ever carry a gun? Carrie?
I don't know if I would carry one. I have considered getting a permit just to have, but I don't know if I would ever carry one with me. Maybe.
I think it was another point of the article too. It's just you might not necessarily assume that these women are carrying guns or have
they're
permits.
just everyday people.
Yes, they're everyday women. They're not maybe very statuesque. They might be petite women that you don't suspect
some
at
of the
all.
pictures that they showed were very.
And you were saying there's a place around here that has a pink one?
Yes, I have seen a pink gun because I went to this place to learn about the self-defense classes that they offer and was browsing around and did indeed see a pink gun. So you can have a girly gun.
You can have a girly one. Maybe you could get your bedazzler for Christmas and sparkle it up a little
I can see
bit.
that happening. But I can see why people would consider carrying a gun, especially in this day and time where you don't know, if you're in a dangerous area, if you don't know what's out there, to protect yourself.
Protection, definitely.
Yeah. I guess it's a personal preference. But anyway, we're going to take a short commercial break, and then we're going to come back and talk to Pam. Looking for a great gift idea this season? Consider My Name's Not Verley by Kay Stedman. This funny yet heartwarming story follows a young girl through her childhood, and you will be cheering for her all the way. For more information on the book, visit mynamesnotverleyalltogether.com.
Have an upcoming get-together? Consider Wickedly Delicious Cupcakes or other sweets from Miss Wilma Pickle. The tasty creations are sure to be a crowd pleaser, and they are delicious. For more information, call 706-375-6320, or you can email her at thewimp1941@yahoo.com. Okay, we're back and we have a caller. Oh, we did. Caller, if you're there, call us back and we'll get you on the air.
Well, we're so blessed tonight to have Pam Thomasson with us. Pam is a graduate of Lee University 2006 professional counselor. And she has been a counselor for Hutchinson Hospice and mental health counselor at Community Health Agency. We welcome her tonight. We're going to let her tell you a little bit about herself. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Well, I've actually, like you mentioned, was graduated from Lee University in 2006 in professional counseling, and I've got kind of a wide variety of experience dealing with children with disabilities, grief counseling, and also in the mental health facility. So it's been a great experience. So thank you for having me here.
Thank you.
Well, Carrie, one of the things we wanted to talk about tonight with Pamela is it tends to get a little tense around the holidays. You have so many different personalities under one roof, and I know that we all understand the reason for the season, but that still doesn't always work out the issues that we have sometimes with scheduling. What tips can you offer us to kind of remain calm throughout this holiday season?
Well, what I would do is just focus on really what the Christmas season is about and try not to get overwhelmed. I know a lot of people try to plan ahead to, get their shopping done. But, just relax and enjoy your family and just your time together. And, I would just sit back and relax a little bit, So.
And it would be great if our callers would call in too with any questions that you guys might have about maybe issues that you go through this time of year. I know our biggest one is trying to schedule, when do we see the in-laws, when do we see the parents, how do we make it around to see the grandparents,
I would
the cousins.
imagine that's a lot of people's problem. Not problem.
It is.
It's a good problem to have, but a situation.
Well, and I even had a coworker who came up to me almost in tears this week because she was trying to schedule everybody at one time when it was convenient, and it wasn't convenient when you get more than 5 or 6 people with different schedules. Yes. So I don't really know what the solution is, but I guess we just have to kind of remain calm and just keep on keeping on.
Well, I call it Christmas in January. If it's going to cause undue stress, I would even try to schedule some parties. I know some families are even doing that now. Part of that is just dealing with family members sometimes that you don't necessarily always want to see, and we surely give you some tips on how to deal with the people that you sometimes just want to leave somewhere else.
Kind of obligated.
Yes.
And you want to make the most out of it because, they are your family. So when things do get really tense and you're there, say that you're staying with a relative,
Okay.
and you're under the same roof, you don't really have much option to go somewhere else. What can you do to make the most out of it in that situation?
Well, what I would suggest to most people in that situation is, plan ahead. If you know that you're going to be with someone that you necessarily don't want to be around, try to schedule some time. If you have friends that you can go out with or go visit as well while you're there, that's always helpful. But what I would do is also rehearse and plan your day. Know what time you're going to arrive at the party. Know what time you're going to leave the party. Also rehearse maybe what you're going to say when that person comes up to you and maybe they make a snide remark. I would have that already planned out so you're not caught off guard as to how you want to handle that. Also, just set firm boundaries. If there's some topics that you don't really want to discuss with, your family members, just simply say, you know what, I really would rather not talk about that right now, and either change the subject or walk away. One thing I think that we tend to do is we get defensive and our tone goes up. One thing that I would advise most people to do is try to maintain a stable tone of voice, because when your tone of voice goes up, theirs will too, and they'll get defensive, and sometimes you can end up in a word bannering that you don't really want to be involved in. So just simply, set firm boundaries and move on. Don't not let them really don't let them allow your emotions to be, caught off guard. So
That reminds me of, I love the website Some E-Cards. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's not for everyone, but it has very sarcastic, almost retro card designs, and you can email them to other people. But one of the ones they had, I believe it was around Thanksgiving,
Right.
it said, let's go ahead and get this awkward conversation out of the way. Yes, I'm still single. No, I'm not dating anyone in particular. And no, I don't have a job. So, but that kind of reiterates the same questions we always get. It's always, are you seeing anybody? How's your work going? When are you having children? It's nonstop. And you just kind of smile and go, yeah, okay. And you have just a general blanket answer, but you kind of know what's going to come, especially if you've been around this particular group for any extended amount of time.
Especially, if they're your family.
Yeah, what questions your aunt is going to ask or your grandmother, so just kind of file it away.
Yeah, and just be prepared. I think, when people tend to ask us those type of questions initially, we're like, we kind of get startled. But I think once you've been through that a little bit and you've had some time to process it and maybe even role play with a friend beforehand, if it's obviously in a situation where, maybe there's been abuse or something like that in the past, and you feel really uncomfortable about going, then you may want to reevaluate whether you want to go, or call that person beforehand and say, look, I'm going to come, but these are the things that I expect while I'm there. And if they can't deal with that, then maybe you shouldn't go, especially if it's going to hinder any healing that maybe you've had that's taking place prior to going. So
I do like your comment about making kind of a timeline, because we have about 4 Christmases to go to, and it gets a little
There was
hectic.
a movie called for
Yeah, 4 Christmas. I mean, I feel like I'm in that
think
movie
about that,
sometimes. But you run and you go, and it's the hustle and bustle, and then you're trying to eat enough to where you don't offend anybody for not eating, yet trying not to eat too much so you can't eat at the next meal so you don't offend anybody there. I mean, it gets a little crazy. So you're saying maybe have a cutoff time where you go, okay, well, we kind of need to head out. How do you make that segue exit and you're not appearing to be rude or short?
I would just kind of be upfront with that, when you walk in, say, we'd love to stay. We have, 4 other places to go tonight. We'll probably have to leave about 7:30. We want to visit, but our schedule's overbooked, with different holiday events. And so I think just preparing them up front and also kind of letting them know where you stand. And if it's going to be a difficult situation, then that's a good way to kind of, there's no explanation. You can just kind of get out of there when you need to. So
that is a good point.
And you talked about healing. I know
Yeah.
this time of year is difficult for a lot of people who may have lost a loved one.
Right.
A few years ago, my grandfather passed away, and it was very hard for us. It was close to Christmas,
Right.
so we just kind of went through the motions that year. It was good to have family around, to help you deal with stuff, but still was like, I don't really feel like celebrating this year. So what would you say to someone who may be going through a difficult time?
My suggestion there would be don't isolate yourself. I think that's especially if it's something that's been pretty recent. There's that tendency to sort of withdraw from family, especially if it was a spouse, and maybe you're going to be in a situation where you're going to be around other couples. I know that sometimes that can be hard if it was a husband or wife that you lost. I think it's important to also have friends that maybe have experienced some of the same things, because believe it or not, I mean, in the counseling environment, I've met a lot of people who spend Christmas alone.
Really
And and it's very difficult for them. And so maybe if they could pair up, I know there's hospice counseling grief share groups around the area that can really help. But if you can partner up with someone else who's maybe not going to be able to spend a Christmas with their family, or loved ones just passed, I think it's a great way for you not to sit at home and just kind of withdraw. Another thing that I've often recommended to people is maybe releasing a balloon at this time of year, and do something sort of memorialize the one that's lost. I know people journal sometimes, and they'll maybe tie that little note to the balloon and let it go, and it just really helps, I think, with the grief process and getting to the point where you can adjust to the new normal. So that would be part of the recommendation or suggestion I would have for people.
I think we have a caller. Are you still there?
Yes.
Hi, caller, go ahead.
Well, say, I know Pam, and she's a wonderful counselor, and it takes someone special to be able to help folks through this season. One of the things that I've learned, and maybe Pam can comment on it a little bit, is that through the Christmas season, even if you've had loss, or if you have a difficult family member, and we all may not want to admit it, but we have them, is to maybe not focus so much on what you think that they're going to do to you, but maybe, as she said, do a little role playing, and maybe imagine yourself just being extremely calm and not allowing whatever they say or what they do, their actions, to be able to cause you to react to what they've said. I'm going to hang up now. You girls have a Merry Christmas, and I thank you for this program. It's so good. Thank you.
Thank you, caller.
Let me add something to that. I think part of any situation is how you look at it. It's part of what we call in counseling reframing. You can go in kind of with a negative attitude and with a negative thought and have all these expectations that are not going to really be fulfilled, especially with some family members. And I think part of that is saying, regardless of whatever situation I'm going to be in, I'm going to make the best of this, and I'm not going to let someone else ruin my time. I'm going to go in, I'm going to have fun, and I'm just going to enjoy myself for the time that I'm here. So I think a lot of it is kind of back in our court, because we can only control us.
That's true.
We can only, no one else can change, like we can't change anyone else. The only one we can control was us. So I think having a positive attitude is definitely part of it. And of course, not allowing, abuse or anything like that to take place, obviously, but just being positive and trying to see the better, the good part about being there. And you know what? I'm thankful for difficult people, because sometimes it's built character for me. And also, I look at others sometimes that are difficult, and I think, I'm glad I'm not that way. So, or I hope I'm not. So, it puts it in perspective, and I think sometimes it keeps us, balanced as well. So.
We've talked about maybe losing a loved one. Another thing is embracing change in holiday
Yes.
traditions.
Sure.
Because when I was growing up, my family and I, we did the same routine. And then when I got married and my sister got married, we got married about the same time, we completely changed what we did on Christmas Eve. The
Right.
celebration that we had with our family was no more, because we were doing other things with our in-laws.
Right.
And so, and I'm thankful for that, but I also miss the times that I had that remind me of my childhood. So, when you have lost a loved one, or when you've maybe moved away and started a new chapter in your life, how do you get in the spirit of embracing all the differences and the different traditions?
Well, I think, again, that's part of just kind of looking at it in a more positive light, saying, okay, you know what, I'm going to take what I had from my childhood, the things that I enjoy and I remember, and sort of pull that into your new tradition. There may be things that you did in your family, things, maybe they had pumpkin pie every Christmas, and that was something you really enjoyed. Well, maybe you now can bring that into your new traditions with your new family and with your husband, and and incorporate some of those things into what you have going on now. I don't think times change, and we move on and we do different things, but I think we can hold on to the things that bring us, happiness and joy and all of that, and sort of bring that joy into someone else's life. Maybe they never had some of those, maybe there were some things that you guys did that they don't do. And so maybe you can introduce that into that. So,
one of the things I used to love when I was little, I would always watch with my cousin and my sister on Christmas Eve. We would watch How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Oh, wow.
I think it always came on ABC, and it was just fun. And, it was a show that everybody could appreciate. But even now, and he's, 18, 19 years old, and the other day I saw him at a get-together that we had, and he said, hey, we never watch that anymore, and I said, well, send me a text message when it's on, we'll watch it together. So
Can I just say that I think I just thought of another stressful holiday situation?
yes,
And that is the fact that the Christmas Story comes on 24 hours.
it does. The Red
On
Ryder
Christmas
BB
Day.
gun.
I hate that movie.
It gets a little old after a while, and the leg lamp, that was just a little odd to me.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think they had some stress going on in that family. Poor little Ralphie had to wear the bunny suit.
He had some issues, I think, with the teasing.
on the other side of that, the best way to relieve stress is humor.
That is true. That is true. Well, and even another classic movie. I think we have another caller.
We do.
Let's see. Hello, caller. Go ahead.
Hey, don't talk about my favorite. That's a good show. My girls are doing a good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I know who that is.
All right.
That is a classic movie, and a lot of people like it. But it does. I think TBS is kind of worn it out, playing over and over and
Yes,
over.
there's only so much you can see.
But you know what? Another classic example of what we're talking about here is Home Alone.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
they were so stressed out about going on this trip that they left their son home alone by himself on Christmas.
Or
So-
the poster child for dysfunctional families is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yes, it is. Chevy Chase, yes. Caller, go ahead. Are you there, caller?
Yes, I think you're right. I want to just say if there's a group you can go to or a number you can call, and I'll have to then let you know.
Okay,
Thank you. It's a good question. Is there a
Like a grief share?
group or a service?
There are, I know there are several in the community. I know there's several in Chattanooga. I know Hospice of Chattanooga definitely has a grief share group, but a lot of the churches do. I think Oakwood Baptist Church in this area actually has a grief group. But I can get you guys some more information on that. I can get you some names and
you
numbers.
said Hospice of Chattanooga has one? I'll
And
try to pull up
several-
their information too.
Yeah, several churches in the area I know do as well.
I know some funeral homes too
Mm-hmm.
have a memorial service in honor of those who have passed on in the previous year. So
You know, something that we always do every year is my grandfather is buried at Tennessee, Georgia, and they always have a special thing at the beginning of December where you can light a candle for every one of the graves, and that's just, I mean, it's just a nice way to remember family, you know, and keep them in the Christmas tradition as well. Even though they may not be here with you physically, there's definitely still can be here with you
it's a good way to honor their memory.
emotionally. Yeah, definitely.
So what if there's someone who's watching who's gone through some difficult times this year, and they're just having a hard time getting in the mood and in the spirit, and and like you said, they're a little bit withdrawn. What would you say to them?
I would say go against what you feel at that moment and really push forward in finding people that you can go out and enjoy yourself with. Maybe it's a church group. I know, there's a lot of faith-based groups out there for single people or for people that maybe don't have anyone else at this time of year. But also, too, there's so much need in the community. And sometimes when you go out and you're helping someone else, maybe you're serving a Christmas meal or you're wrapping presents for a child that didn't, otherwise wouldn't have Christmas. I know sometimes when you feel like you're contributing and you're doing something else for someone else, that can really make you feel, different. And it gets you around other people and gets you out in the social environment. That's one thing I've always told anyone that I've spoken to is find people that like the same things you do. I know the Lookout Valley Recreation, they have quilting, they have pottery, they have all kinds of free classes that, folks can go to and get involved in. They can meet other people. And
It's just important for them to know that they're not alone.
Absolutely. Know that they're not alone. And you know what? It feels like it, but there's obviously a lot of people out there who are going through the same things. And maybe they don't have that family support. So friends are important. Sometimes friends are even more important than some family. So, and journaling is always a good outlet, just to kind of get your feelings in check and kind of figure out what your emotions are. And as you journal, especially after you've lost someone, you can really see when you read back on it, at different stages of, how you felt at that point and what helped you. And I think sometimes writing it down and kind of rereading it and going through it again helps you remember, oh, well, when I felt that way last year, this is what I did. I went out or I, visited friends or whatever makes your life easier. Some people like music. When they get stressed out, they have different activities. Some people like to go on a hike or a walk or whatever to help them relieve that stress.
A lot of people have seasonal issues too with the weather, like especially weather like today was so dreary and cold and rainy.
Get out like
you can't help but not to be kind of sad, the sun's
Exactly.
not there. So if you're going through a hard time, plus we're in the middle of winter and it's kind of gloomy, I can see where people would feel kind of lonely.
Oh, absolutely.
But I found some numbers for that lady who called. You said Hospice of Chattanooga has a group, and their phone number is 423-892-4289, 892-4289. And then Oakwood Baptist in Chickamauga, their phone number is 706-375-5760. So I hope that helps.
In Hospice of Chattanooga, I heard on the radio the other day, I believe they are looking for volunteers to do what they call their tuck-in program, I believe, on the weekends. I think the gist of it is you would call families and make sure they have everything that they needed, and you would just do that in your volunteer hours. So there's a lot of different ways to give back, not just this time of year, which is when we're most prone to think about it, but all year long.
People need things all year long.
That is
right.
Hutchison needs volunteers too.
Hutchison? Okay.
Hutchinson Hospice. They definitely need some volunteers right now to go maybe sit, with and give the family members respite care. So, there's lots of things you can do in the community to really get out there and serve. And I think that's
about
always helpful.
The people in the nursing home who may
Yeah.
not have family, and I think about them at Christmas time, just the loneliness there
Right.
that they may need visitors or extra special attention.
And
during this time.
it's so true what they say. No matter how rough you think you have it at the current moment, if you look around, there's always someone else who might be a little more down on their luck. Some of the ladies at work, they adopt a certain family out of a particular area each year, and they buy off of these children's wish lists. And one item on the list was just crayons. This kid just wanted crayons and markers, and I thought, in this day and age, when you have iPods and iPads and computers and video games, all he wanted was crayons. So it makes you really appreciate the small things
It
and
sure does.
the little things you can do to give back.
Right. So tell us, the economy's been rough, and I know there are a lot of people out there who may be unemployed. They may just not feel like they can give their family everything that they could in previous years. What would you say to them?
I would say, first of all, just stay strong. There are a lot of other people in that situation as well. I mean, I think a lot of people have had to cut back, and it's just very difficult. But, especially if they think that, they won't have a Christmas and their children won't have anything, if they get in touch with their area churches or ministry agencies, a lot of times they'll be able to put them on the Angel Tree and different organizations, throughout Chattanooga, I know probably in North Georgia as well, that will help, provide Christmas for the children and the families. So, but especially right now with the jobs being as they are, I know it's very difficult, and it's easily to get depressed at that time, and and just really kind of feel like there's no hope. But I think there is, and if you just hang in there, stay strong. So
What about parents who are dealing with children who maybe are friends with other kids who might be a little bit better off, and their families can afford to give them all the gadgets and the new toys? How do parents explain that to their young children? What the meaning of Christmas is all about, but also maybe why they're not getting what the Joneses are getting.
Right. That can be very difficult, especially for children to understand, and I know that personally. I've been there. I think just being upfront and honest with your child. I know, it's going to be hard for them to understand that at 9 or 10 years old, but especially as they get older, I think that kind of becomes more clear. But I think just sitting down with them and saying, look, I'm unemployed this year. They had a layoff, and, we're just going to be able to, do this amount or be able to provide only this, and just be straight up with them and honest. So.
And I think, too, back to what you were saying about philanthropy, I'm very, very thankful that my mom, and Lacey, I know you were raised this way, too, our parents brought us up young as we were younger, to realize the importance of giving back. And I think that helped my perspective of Christmas time. So I would just encourage parents out there, if you do have young children, to take them to places where may be uncomfortable. Take them to the community kitchen.
Community kitchen,
because that will be an eye-opener, and they will realize that the world doesn't revolve around them. I see a lot in our culture today about me,
Right.
and very little about they.
Yeah.
and so I think this time of year, it is very, it's more likely to have people do philanthropy. But with that said, it'd be a good opportunity, if you've never done anything with your family before, to start now. Make that a priority for next year too. To give
And the
back.
soup kitchen, I think, is a great idea too. It does something when you can see that and you see the need, and
It's a humbling experience.
it really is, and it makes you grateful and thankful, and you leave places like that thinking, I really don't have it that bad. I've got everything I need. I have a roof over my head, and it really puts it into perspective.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And, with that type of perspective, if you give your kids that, I think you've given them probably the whole Christmas meaning to some extent, because we've been very fortunate in this country, more so than even in some other countries. And when they're able to see that not every child has a Xbox 360 under the tree, then I think it establishes something within them that makes them more aware of others besides themselves. And so, yeah,
And
I think
lot
it's a
of
great
families
opportunity
do
for them.
that Operation Christmas Child
Yeah.
shoebox, and that's a very easy way. I think the time's up for this year, but that's a very easy way to show them that people live differently than they do around the world, because those boxes are from Samaritan's Purse, which is Franklin Graham, who's Billy Graham's son.
Right.
They're from his organization, and they go out to everywhere, all over the world where kids may not even have a bed to sleep in, So I think it's, some things can be very simple to do as a family.
Absolutely. And you know what? Why just Christmas time?
Right.
I mean, we have other 364 days that we can give as well. And Community Kitchen, I know, is open, I think 365 days a year.
Yeah.
So,
and they
there's a
probably
lot of
need
need
help
out there.
in March.
Absolutely. So, we have Christmas in March.
I think I actually read that they get the majority of their donations this time of year, and that's great news, but it's also sad to think that we as a community don't think about them year round. So.
Absolutely.
Now, Pam, tell us a little bit about some of your favorite holiday traditions.
My favorite holiday traditions. Oh, wow. I really love the Christmas Eve late service. I think that's really cool to be involved in. Growing up, I had I come from a huge family, so nothing was left unturned. We always, had just a table full of food that we could just enjoy, and it was just nice to visit and just see everyone, and that's really the fondest memories I have, is just being around my family. And especially now I have kids, and so being able to sort of establish those traditions. And there's a few things that have changed. You mentioned that earlier. One thing I like to do is every year kind of do a different theme. And that's, my kids just kind of look at me weird. But
Theme with your gifts, or?
Well, actually, just kind of with Christmas in general. Like right now, my tree topper is a Chick-fil-A stuffed animal, and so we call it the Chick-fil-A tree. And so I just kind of like to mix things up every year and sort of, leave them guessing as to what Mom has going on.
It keeps it fun.
What was it last year?
Oh, goodness. It was, I'm trying to remember, I think, kind of had a German theme last year.
That's neat.
Yeah, so I kind of like at one point did this Christmas around the world, and so I would just put different ornaments and decorate my tree and all these different things that sort of represent, a different country or whatever. But now with, I'm almost an empty nester. I have a son that's 20, and so he's in Greensboro, North Carolina, and so it's a little bit harder now, with him being out of state, and I have one daughter that's still here. And so it's kind of like I'm trying to maneuver all these different things. So it's changed a little bit. So and I'm sure it will as time goes on.
So you can definitely relate to changing traditions.
Oh yeah, the house is quieter.
And what's funny too, Carrie? Growing up, my mom always put this bow on top of the tree, and I hated it. I wanted the star or the angel or something very traditional, and she always put the bow up, and she had the streamers down, and it just, I don't know why, it drove me crazy. I'm sorry, Mom, but now I have a bow. I do. I have a bow, and I have the ribbons coming down my tree. So it's funny because the things that you don't really appreciate when you're younger, you really do grow to appreciate as an adult.
Yeah, and I realized that the other day. I was on YouTube, and my parents were into old classic country. That's what I call it. They called it back then. It was country music, And so I found myself listening to Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton, who I would normally never do.
Stream, yes.
And so I did not like that music back then, but it was kind of funny what you gravitate back to and what brings back those memories, And so I did this whole little YouTube streaming different music, and I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. I remember when Mom and Dad would sing that song.
And it's not even necessarily the song; it's the memories.
It's just
that
the
it
memories that are
conjures up.
associated. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Like, I'll tell you about us. I will tell on us, and my family can get mad at me.
Your mom will be calling, Carrie.
Jim Reeves' Christmas polka. As cheesy as it sounds.
Really?
We listen to it every year. Yes.
Do you have a little polka dance?
We just kind of all just jump around. I mean, we're crazy.
Now, did I see you in a picture on roller skates this weekend? Was that you?
That was not me.
You didn't have roller skates on in that picture. I swear you had roller skates on a Facebook picture.
I don't
You
think,
did. You did.
I don't think I did.
You
Lacey.
did.
I don't
Maybe
think
Facebook is randomly posting pictures, but I thought you got an early Christmas present of some rollerblades.
Are you thinking about? There's a girl on Facebook that she's my friend that I commented on, and people think we look alike. That might be her.
Maybe. I don't know. I
Was
don't
she
know.
like out? I mean, on like a
Outside?
driveway. That was my friend.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, people have thought that we were sisters
Really?
before. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
Well, and speaking of friends, though, too, it's kind of, you have all these gifts that you get and exchanges and stuff. Do you guys do any new traditions with your friends and family, like the white elephant?
We
or-
have done that before.
Do
We
you?
have done that, or Dirty Santa, whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
That's
one
awesome.
year we did it with gag gifts, and that was hilarious because we had like big underwear and just like crazy. I'm telling you, we're hilarious. It's funny at my house.
You know, that brings
Christmas
up
at Carrie's house.
that sounds like a good time. That kind of reminds me though of something else, and it was an incident that I witnessed this week. But someone got someone else a gift, and the recipient didn't really like it. So, granted, how childish that can be at times.
Or for all the men out there who buy their wives things they should
and
never
you
buy
open it
them.
up and you go, oh, thank you, and you're
Yeah,
thinking,
right.
okay, gotta take this back to the store. But how
Or
do
we
you
gift it.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
that's actually what I was thinking. Re-gift.
I guess what advice would you offer somebody if maybe they gave someone a gift that wasn't very well received?
Because I could see a lot of conflict coming from some
Well, and
married
it-
couples
yeah,
out there.
and it's almost
You bought me a what?
it gets to be a personal issue, especially between friends. It seems like women take it a little more personally than men probably would. But
Yeah, well, I think, in the case of a gag gift where it's big underwear, I think you're probably stuck with it.
nobody's taking it back.
But,
I mean, they were new. I'm just saying.
That's good to know. They were new. They were clean.
I'm just saying.
honestly, if it's from a spouse, though, I'd probably just kind of smile and, take it and be appreciative. So, keep peace in the family. But
Unless it was like exercise equipment, I could see that starting an argument.
Well, I don't know. I have been told that he wanted exercise equipment, and then I bought him exercise equipment, and he did not use
But if you
exercise
got new
equipment.
exercise equipment,
Oh no, men don't do that. Well,
it's like in the rule book
Yeah.
for guys.
This should be in the rule book. If there is a book that they are reading, you just don't. Even if they say they want it, you just don't buy it. Don't buy it. And I think the other way around, it's a little more
I think so,
accepted.
too.
I think.
if it's from a friend, I would think if you can get away with kind of regifting it, or maybe just saying thank you and then hiding it in the closet and next yard sale or something. Just uninvite them, right? But
You put my gift in the yard sale?
what's
I've got
really
stories on that.
what's really interesting is like sometimes what you would not like, I would like. And I had a personal experience with that where I went to an ornament party and there was a peacock ornament. No one wanted this thing but me.
I would like that.
Yeah,
I would
and,
too.
and so it was a Dirty Santa scenario, and finally it came to my turn, and I was like, I want that, and the girl was like, here, have it, and so honestly, there's probably going to be somebody out there who will appreciate that particular gift, whatever it is, even if you don't like it. So, just food for thought.
So New Year's resolutions. It's just around the corner, and
Right.
we're gonna hit 2012.
Oh, can we not talk about that? I want to eat my Christmas food
You
first.
know, I know. Well, and everybody does the whole, let's get healthy, let's watch what we
Yes,
eat.
yes. Right.
But how do you get to the point where you're truly sticking to what you put in your mind to do?
Because I think my New Year's resolutions are gone by February.
Really?
Yeah.
They say though, if you write them down or if you tell someone else, you're held more accountable than if you just think them in your head, I guess.
I think that's true. I think writing them down and making them putting them somewhere where you can really see them on a daily basis. But also, if it's something like exercise, I know statistically that most people stop exercising about February or
Yes.
March. But changing that routine is going to be important, because if you do the same things repetitively, then you tend to not stick with it. So.
Hi, caller.
Hey, Gary and Lacey, it's Dawn from Business
Hi, how are you?
I am doing great. I wanted to tell you that I have had the best Christmas so far, and what I have done is I talked a little bit about it last time I was on your show, but I came up with this 12 days of Christmas for men to give their wives, and it has been the best blessing
Really?
Awesome.
for them and me. I individually wrapped the presents, and all the guys had to do was just come pick them up and then just give her one each day.
That's nice.
wow.
And the gifts were just phenomenal. And each day it says, on the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me, and it said what it was, and then if it was like foot cream, then it says I owe you a foot massage.
Oh.
And the women have gone crazy over it. It's so awesome.
So there's a lot of thought behind it.
I'm sorry?
There's a lot of thought behind it.
Yes, yes. And so they, I'm making the men look like heroes, which is awesome.
I'm sure they appreciate that.
They need all the help they can
Yes.
get. So. But it was just such a neat thing. I'm going to try to do the same thing for Valentine's Day.
Oh, that'll be
I'm going
good.
to do four chambers of the heart, like 4 gifts of love, or do the 5 love languages, something like that.
Oh,
great.
that's good. Well, Dawn, give them your number if they want to contact you. Do you have do you have last minute gifts they can get from you?
I do. It's 423 595 3447.
3447.
Yes.
Awesome.
All right, you girls have a great evening.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Dawn. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Thanks. You too. Bye.
That's a great idea,
That
because it
is.
takes the stress out of the men's shopping. Do you know, I don't know how many colleagues that I've encountered in the last few days, and they said they haven't even started shopping yet. And in
Oh
my
my
mind, that just
goodness.
bumfuzzles me. But
You haven't started?
Really? Are you a Christmas Eve shopper?
Please tell me you're not going to the
And
mall.
here we are talking about stress. That, just the thought of it stresses me out.
I'm not a shopper. I hate shopping. So, yes, I am a last minute buy the suit of my pants.
They said that Shallowford Road and Gun Barrel are just crazy.
Today,
Thank God
yes,
for the
yes.
internet.
Yes, really. Have you done a lot of online shopping? Or?
I plan to.
Really? We can
You
do
gotta
last
pay
minute
for
deals,
them.
Yeah.
I am very last
Shipping,
minute.
yeah. Well, and I think if you go to the small businesses